started on our opening keynote. And that's Embracing InsurTech, Revolutionising Strategies for Future Success. Our guest is Frederik Bisbjerg, Chief Transformation Officer at AXA Global Healthcare. Frederik, good morning. How are you?
I am very good. Thank you, and good morning or afternoon here. I'm calling in from Abu Dhabi today, but everything is good, thanks. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, you're very welcome indeed, and you have the honour of kicking off the show, so the virtual floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. And as I said, I'm very happy to be here, and we are going to talk about one of the topics that is really, really close to my heart, and it is in essence the concept of digital transformation in the insurance industry. And for me, working with InsurTech as incumbent insurers is a very, very important part of that. Now, I've been working with business development my whole life, and my professional career is around 27 years now, and the last 15, 17 of them have been in the insurance industry. And when I started out, it was we called it business transformation, and now it's called digital transformation. But in my world, it's still the same. We are finding new ways of developing our businesses, doing things smarter, optimizing the way we work, thinking new distribution channels, and changing the organizations. And now we have InsurTech as a part of this. And I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to touch on quite a few topics, because I don't believe we can work with future strategies or future business development if we don't understand the current state of our industry, if we don't understand where we are today, maybe even to some extent where we are coming from. This, I believe, is necessary to understand, so we can make the strategies, make the plans for how do we actually move forward. So I'll give you a few moments on my view of the insurance industry as it is today. I'll give you a few ideas of where I see it headed, and I would very much like to hear your comments and questions to that when I'm done talking, because there's always a lot of opinions on this, and what I'm going to tell you is obviously my experience, my views. Building on this, I also want to give you my experience with InsurTech, because I've been working with quite a few now from the incumbent insurer side, and there are some barriers and some challenges that you're facing when you're trying to make incumbents and InsurTech work together. And then before I dive into this, I'd like to give you my understanding of InsurTech in general in the industry. And again, make notes or raise your hand and do something if you agree or you want to hear more about it. I'll end today by talking about how do we make all this work, how do we actually advance the whole insurance industry, both incumbent insurers and also InsurTech for a better future, and how to make that work. So it's a lot of things to cover in not so many minutes. I'm covering this very much on my social media, especially on LinkedIn and my YouTube. So if you want to know more about the things we're talking about today, there's a chance you can find a video or a white paper or even a book about some of the things we're talking about. But let's get into it and start looking at where are we as an insurance industry today. And the views here are based, I mean, I've been in the Middle East for 10, 12 years. I've been in the rest of the world for 5, 7 years in the industry. So it's coming with a view on the Middle Eastern industry, but the more I talk and understand from insurers, especially in Far East Asia and Europe, this is the same. So I guess you can see this holds true almost on a worldwide scale. The industry is looking into an aging talent and C-level group. People are simply getting older in the incumbent insurance industry, that is, and it's because the industry in general has quite difficulties attracting young talent. The industry is simply not sexy or interesting enough. So we are looking into aging talent above the whole spectrum of people in the industry. That also means that in general, the industry is having a low digital literacy, which for many reasons, especially when we're talking about working with InsurTech, turns out to be a challenge that we have to overcome. I'm not going to go too much into this, but I guess all of you who's ever been dealing with an incumbent insurer will nod to this one. And this is the aging legacy systems, the IT systems that are virtually impossible to work with because they've been around since the 80s, and they are black boxes. They're monolithic systems that are very, very complex to work with. And when we start working with them, then we have to deal with a lot of technical debt as well. And that just means every change in the systems takes time. Adding to this is the prideness of, I guess you can say, the history of the industry. I mean, most incumbent insurers have been around for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, or maybe even more. And that means that you tend to build up quite a lot of organizational bureaucracy, politics, and even more so also silos within the organization. So you have one team who's focused on one specific product or one specific area of claims management, and they don't work very well together with other teams. And if you come in as an InsurTech and want to work across the whole organization, you'll face a lot of resistance there and challenges. So these are just some of the issues that we are facing in the insurance industry, or the incumbent insurance industry as such. But that is one side of it. But the world around us is not standing still, right? I mean, we are looking into a very interesting development in our insurance industry. It's an industry who's historically not been moving anywhere in the last 100 years, and still is moving quite slowly. But around the corner, I see a lot of things changing or happening. We will start seeing FANG, which is the Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Googles of the world, start distributing insurance. And most of you probably know that Amazon already in the UK have their own insurance store. Google has a whole business unit assigned to Google Insurance. So it'll come. Personally, I don't think you'll see these tech giants go in and actually take and write the risk, but they will act as a distribution channel, which puts on a lot of raises a lot of questions for the insurers, right? How do we actually deal with this? Because when they start offering insurance with their knowledge of us as customers, then it's going to be a whole different ballgame. And that leads into the concept of embedded insurance, which I believe, especially in the retail market, will be the primary sales channel. We will see a lack of direct customer engagement and so forth. And then, of course, the technology is not standing still. One last thing I want to say here before we go into more details about the InsurTechs and incumbents is that when we are talking insurance, especially retail individual insurance, let's not forget, and it hurts me to say this, but I think I can because I've been in the business long enough, but I mean, our customers, at the end of the day, they don't want to buy insurance products. I mean, it's the thing of it. Insurance product is, in most cases, a product that you more or less are forced to buy, and it's a product that you feel is expensive, and you have to pay, in many cases, upfront. And it's a product that you pray to God you're never going to use, because when you are using an insurance product, it means that you've had some kind of unfortunate incident. So this is where we, as an industry, starts out, right? We have an old, I guess I say, clunky industry as such. We have agent talent. Our IT systems are not probably the smartest, and we are selling products or offering products that people, maybe don't even have too much trust in, and they don't want to buy them. So it's not easy being us. And I think we've been getting away with it for many years. I just think that we cannot get away with it for so many more years. And that means we have to do something. And luckily, there are many ways forward. One of the things that I personally believe in, that remembering everything that I've just said, is we have to make sure that when our customers engage with us, we give them an as hassle-free, as seamless experience as possible. I'm not a big believer in making insurance super exciting and motivating and engagement. I'm a believer in making it invisible through embedded challenge, through absolute hassle-less services around the clock. And these are some of the things that I believe as insurer you should be focusing on. If you focus on this, you at the same time start optimizing, automating your operations, which means that your costs will go down, which means that you can stay competitive in the market. So this is one of the ways that I see is forward for insurers. Of course, we can look and discuss new digital business models, which was the embedded insurance, participating ecosystems, and all the other fancy bad buzzwords, and then start looking outside our core industry for adjacent industries to see how can we stay relevant in this evolving market. So these are some of the things. I have one more slide that I don't have time to go into. I just want to show you because I'm still seeing a lot, and I mean a lot, incumbent insurers having these 6 delusions. They feel that we have to wait and see what the others are doing. We will digitize the model we were working with yesterday because we've been doing this model for 10 years and we know it works. I don't believe in that. When we go to these conferences, and this one could be one of them, I hope not too much, but when we go to these conferences, you always have people going on the stage and telling about their fantastic software solutions that basically does everything and send the insurance company to the moon while welding underwater and all these things. So you become very technology centered, which to me is not what this is all about. This is all about running a business the best possible way. And in many instances, this has not too much to do with technology, but much more to do with people and processes. We also typically look to the insurer next door to see how they're doing and trying to compare ourselves with them. This is not the future. Our customers, they come from the Amazons and Googles of the world, and this is what they expect from us. And this is why I was talking about the hassle-free experience before. It also means that we shouldn't put too much trust or confidence into our customer satisfaction, because this is a relative customer satisfaction with what they get from us today. If you find a competitor that completely flips the experience and provides an Amazon-like insurance experience, then your customer satisfaction will go down significantly, simply because what you're comparing yourself, what they're comparing you against, has changed significantly. The last is, do not think that once you've done, let's just say, a partnership with an InsurTech, then you don't have to do anything more. It's an ongoing journey, this, and we have to get used to that. Technology is changing, customer experiences are changing, and we just have to keep up, which means we have to build a completely different operating model. And this is where, in my world, working with InsurTechs comes into play. If you take a look at InsurTech, and I am generalizing now, and I'm aware of it, but if you're looking at InsurTech, then I don't find many who actually offers the entire value chain or services within the entire value chain. InsurTechs typically find an area where they have an expertise, and this could be within products and underwriting, sales distribution, claims management, technology architecture, and that's where they focus and zoom in, and they become the best and very, very good at this. And that's what I'm trying to illustrate here. I mean, out of the InsurTech funding, you will see literally 100% have been within products underwriting, sales and distribution, service, policy administration, and claims management. The gray areas show to what extent insurers typically outsource these areas, but not necessarily into InsurTechs. And this is just proving my point in the sense that InsurTechs, more likely than not, find one area and focus on it. Say, we are the best in claims management, we are the best in sales and distribution, and that is perfectly okay. And actually, in my world, one of the ways that we, when we are aware of this, can make this partnership between InsurTech and incumbents work. Now, that being said, there are a few more characteristics I would like to just highlight for the InsurTechs, and this is one thing. The clock frequency of InsurTechs is very high. I guess you can say that the heartbeat of InsurTechs is fast. And it's fast because of investors' culture and technology. And typically, and again, I'm generalizing, but typically when you as an InsurTech go and asks for money, you have this fantastic growth projection, and you have all the arguments, you have all the right ways of presenting, and at the end, investors becomes excited, which they should, and they say, okay, fine, here's the money, let's go conquer the world. And then the real world hits them. And one of the things is probably not the projections that are so bad, but it's more the timing on how fast you could get to these sales projections that hits them, because insurers don't have the same clock frequency. So you go out there as an InsurTech and say, we have everything ready. We just need 5 contracts and then we are off to the races. But what InsurTechs typically forget or fail to take into account is that any given incumbent insurer takes 12 months to enter into an agreement with an InsurTech. And this is where InsurTechs sales projections fail, and that means that you get delayed, and then investors start to be a little impatient, and they want to say, we need to see some revenue, we need to sell some sales now, which puts a pressure on the InsurTechs. They need to show some short-term results to secure the next round of funding and just to keep their credibility. However, InsurTechs typically also have a culture where everything is possible. They understand how to fail fast and can do immediate decision making. So it is possible for InsurTechs to move around and cater to the demands for the incumbents to get this revenue up and running a little faster. And of course, on the technology side, most InsurTechs are built on the latest technology, so the technology simply just follows the decision making of the culture. So, in essence, and this is what I want you to take away from this, InsurTechs have a very, very high clock frequency, and which is really good. Let's just, before we go to the incumbents, let me just reiterate this value chain, because I think it is very important to say the magic between incumbents and InsurTechs happens when the incumbent understands their own value chain well enough to know where is it we either need to strengthen our core capabilities because we are really weak there at the moment, or no, we are really strong here and we just want to be even stronger. So working for me with InsurTechs is knowing exactly where in the value chain do we want to improve our capabilities, and then go find InsurTechs that can help you with just that. That could be new distribution channels, that could be Internet of Things, customer engagement, new product introduction, process automation, optimization, it could be anything. But as an incumbent, you can't just go out and say, okay, let's get some InsurTech, because then we tick a box. You need to know exactly what you're aiming for, and then go look for the right InsurTech. But and there is a but here, and this is back to the clock frequencies. Incumbents, they don't have exactly the same clock frequency, right? They have a heartbeat that is significantly slower than InsurTechs. And there's many reasons for this. One is, of course, organizations, the way the organization is structured. And I touched upon this in the very beginning, talking about broken processes, red tape, bureaucracy. We won't typically see a single project owner. So if you're going to engage with an InsurTech, there will be many people, units involved in this, which just slows down everything. And then we have the concept of the agent's talent base as well. Culture is also a thing, because the InsurTechs are coming out, and I guess you agree with me. If you go to 100 InsurTechs websites, you will find 80 of them saying, oh, we want to disrupt insurance because insurance doesn't work as it is today. But this is just not a very cool message to come with if you want to work with incumbent insurers. Hello, we are here to disrupt you because we think what you're doing is really bad. So, and this is some of the perceptions that the incumbents they have of the InsurTech. So when you are trying to introduce an InsurTech into the incumbents, they're like, no, we're not going to be disrupted, right? Because what about our jobs? What about all this? You have the kingdoms and silos in the organization. You have people who've been successfully running their line of business for 10 years, and now this disrupting thing is coming and telling you what to do. Absolutely not. So you'll have the turf wars, you'll have the fear of the unknown, and at the last, we have our legacy systems. We have our technical debt, which requires us to do a very long and cumbersome impact analysis. We don't have the capabilities to do it, and probably also no resources, because the resources that we have are all tied up in just complying with what finance they need us to do. So there are many interesting challenges that we have to work with. And obviously, at the end of the day, we have to find a way of making these two work together, because this results in a lot of wars. On the one side, the left side here are obviously the incumbents. Long decision making, we have the technical challenges, legal and compliance delays, and so forth. And dare I say, also an attitude to maybe this will happen. The incumbent don't feel that this is necessary for their survival, so it doesn't get the needed focus. On the other hand, you have the InsurTech. We need the money now. We have the fast and flexible systems. We can solve problems immediately. So if there is an email or contact from the incumbent saying, can you please look at this, 10 minutes later, here it is, it's done, fix, move on, right? And a very focused team, and it has to happen. This is the daily bread, the living of the InsurTech. This must happen. So you can see that we have some challenges. So we have to find a shared rhythm of this. We have to find a clock frequency where the incumbent speeds up, but also the InsurTech understands, in order to work with insurers, we need to slow down. We need to accept that however well we want to do this, incumbents can't move as fast as we require it to do. In my experience, one of the things some of the things that you can do is to set up a different series of, I guess you can call it, mitigations. For the incumbent, you need to ensure that there is a focus. You really have to ensure that there is a pressure on getting this done. Top management must focus on this. You have to set up shared targets, not only shared targets between business units within the incumbent, but also between the incumbent and the InsurTech. Don't overshoot your targets. Be pragmatic. Say that we want this to happen, and we are focusing on this area. We don't want to disrupt the whole thing in one time, but we just make this work. And at the end of the day, make sure that the people participating in it from the incumbents get the organizational spotlight that they need in order to get the resources and the time and the feeling of participating in something important. I am running a little out of time. I do have some other slides I wanted to talk about, but there's just one thing I wanted to say here at the end, and this is working with resistance. And this is very much targeted the incumbents, but I also believe in InsurTechs that understands this will have a much higher degree of succeeding, because if they understand what they're entering into, when they enter into an agreement with an incumbent, then they can actively help these things to ease out. Change resistance has two originations: people and organization. An organization is typically the processes, the structure, the technology, and people is us, because we don't like to change, and especially when we don't know what's going on in the future. Then we have what I call FOTO, fear of the unknown. We will have an uncertainty about the project. We don't maybe feel we have capabilities, the right knowledge to be part of this. We don't know what's going to happen with our jobs afterwards. We don't know what's going to happen about the influence that we have in the organization. So basically, we are afraid of losing control, and we're afraid of being spotted as being incompetent. And this is one of the reasons that we really try to stop this. We don't want to be part of it, because we don't want to be exposed. We don't want to show that we don't know, or we don't know what's going to happen to us in the future. The organizational resistance, I think we've already touched upon a few times, right? There is the kingdoms. I've been doing this product line successfully for 15 years. Nobody can tell me what to do. We have the silos. All the teams are being rewarded after their team's performance, bureaucracy, and of course, misaligned incentives. And this is back to the silos. And at the end of the day, our legacy IT systems. Now, does this mean all hope is lost? No, obviously not. We can deal with it, and I think I've said some of the things already. But for the human side, there's no such thing as over communication when you're dealing with digital transformation or partnerships like this. Be open, honest, brutally honest. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We know you're a part of this company. You may have to re-educate yourself. We are here to help you. Don't try to sugarcoat too much, because I hope the employees are not stupid, so they will see through this right away if you try to paint a picture that is not correct. So it's better to be brutally honest about what's happening. I believe in setting clear roles and accountabilities, because then you tell everybody, this is exactly what your job is, this is what I expect from you, and this is how good looks like in your job. That helps overcome the fear of not being able to deliver, and it helps people being back on track and work more together. One of the other things is, of course, incentives, and I believe in incentivizing people across business units. So if this is an InsurTech incumbent teamwork, incentivize people for the success of this, not for doing their part in the silo, but for the success of the whole project. That forces people to work together, and it also helps people understand that we're moving in this direction together. For the organizational resistance, well, the shared targets I already said. If you don't know the concept of multi-speed IT or bimodal IT, I would strongly suggest that you look it up, because it's a way out of the legacy systems. And many InsurTechs, they actually support this very, very well. You just need to create your own little multi-speed IT system alongside the legacy systems, which is a good thing and the right thing to do if you ask me. And then work with incentives, as I said before again. I guess this was my time to talk, 20-25 minutes speed talking. If I wanted to take one thing away from it, then it is the fact that incumbents and InsurTechs work at different clock frequencies, and there are many good reasons for this. If you want this to be a success, first of all, you have to understand this and respect this. You can't make an incumbent clock frequency increase to the triple overnight. And you can't reduce the InsurTech's clock frequency to the incumbents overnight either. But being aware of this and being aware of that you have to meet somewhere in the middle is a very good starting point. Understanding the organizational resistance that we've been talking about here is another thing, because if both parties, including the InsurTech, understands that this is not going to be easy, because it won't. Not necessarily because the systems don't talk together, but because people don't talk together. If you understand this when you get into it, the chances of a fast success is much, much higher. And to come back to what I said in the very beginning, I truly believe that our industry needs this change. We need this fast success. We need this transformation. So the proud and old incumbent insurers can work with the InsurTechs to redefine our industry together, not as being disruptors and being disrupted, but in a partnership. This is what I truly believe in. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for listening, and take any questions, comments there might be. Thank you.
Frederik, thank you very much indeed. You fitted an absolutely extraordinary amount into 25 minutes there. I congratulate you. I particularly love the 6 traps that you broke down as well. I could talk about that for the rest of the morning or your afternoon, but I want to get to a quick question from the audience, so thank you very much for sending that in. And that was, are there any infrastructural changes that incumbents can make without as much resistance? For you, are there any easy wins?
Yeah, but there are many actually, but they typically don't include InsurTechs too much, but they prepare for working with InsurTechs. If you go look at your organization today, I will claim, based on my experience, that you will get 40 to 50% of a digital transformation project done without involving too much digital. But simply look at the processes that you're having today, the silos, the way people hand over tasks between units. You will find that in most cases, there's so much wasted time and miscommunication in these handover processes that can be eliminated. And many times without involving IT, simply just by changing the way that we do things, changing the way your teams are structured. So yes, there are many things, especially in process optimization, automation, that does not require too much technology. And the good thing about this is it actually prepares the organization for the next step, which could be introducing InsurTechs, which could be working with the technology changes. So yes, many things to do. Thank you.
Frederik, that's fantastic. Thank you ever so much indeed for your time. Really enjoyed your company this morning, and thank you for joining us at InsurTech Live.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much indeed.